Avoid manually managing provisioning profiles. We start by installing Fastlane using Ruby gems or Homebrew. Execute the command Fastlane init within your project root directory to generate the initial configuration files, specifically the FAS file and app file. Immediately configure certificate and provisioning profile synchronization using the match tool. Define the match file, specifying the application identifier and the private Git URL where signing assets will be securely stored. This Git repository must be private for security. Run Fastlane Match Development and Fastlane Match App Store sequentially. These commands generate the necessary certificates and profiles, encrypt them using a shared secret, and push them to the designated private Git repository. This process is essential because Match ensures all team members and continuous integration machines utilize identical, valid signing identities. This standardization completely eliminates common signing errors that plague iOS development. This secure setup is the foundation for reliable, automated deployment across all environments, ensuring consistency from development to production builds. Define a dedicated lane within the FAS file specifically for iOS building. We utilize the gem action for compiling the application and packaging the archive. Specify mandatory parameters for gem, the scheme name, the configuration, typically release, and the export method, which must be App Store for submission or ad hoc for internal testing. Crucially, integrate the increment build number action immediately before gem execution. This action automatically updates the build number in the project file, ensuring a unique build identifier is generated for every submission to App Store Connect. Ensure the match action runs immediately prior to gem. This step pulls the correct encrypted provisioning profile and certificate onto the build machine, guaranteeing successful signing. Finally, the output path of the generated .ipa file must be explicitly captured, as this artifact is required for subsequent deployment actions like pilot. We use the pilot action to upload the compiled .ipa file directly to App Store Connect for TestFlight distribution. The path to the .ipa artifact generated by gem must be passed as the primary input parameter. If the build is intended for external testers requiring Apple review, specify the distribute external parameter as true. Define the release notes using the changelog parameter, or structure the content by reading from a dedicated Markdown file. For secure, non-interactive authentication, avoid storing passwords directly. Instead, configure an App Store Connect API key within the Apple Developer Portal. Set the key identifier, issuer identifier, and the key file path as environment variables. This method is strongly preferred over relying on the Fastlane user and Fastlane password environment variables, providing a robust security layer for continuous integration environments. For Android, first generate the necessary signing key store using the key tool utility, specifying the key alias and the required validity period. Store this key store file securely outside of your source control repository. Configure secure access to the key store credentials, including the store password, key password, and key alias by setting them as environment variables within the build environment. Initialize the Google Play deployment configuration by executing Fastlane supply init. Authentication with Google Play requires a service account JSON key file. This key must be generated in the Google Cloud Console and requires granting the Edit Releases permission within the Google Play Console API access settings. The absolute path to this JSON key file must be provided to Fastlane, typically set via the JSON key file parameter or a corresponding environment variable, enabling supply to interact with the Play Store API. Utilize the Fastlane Gradle action to execute specific Gradle tasks required for artifact generation. We execute the :app::bundle release task to generate the mandatory Android app bundle or AAB file. Crucially, ensure the project's build.gradle file is correctly referencing the secure key store environment variables for signing the release artifact. If the FAS file is not located in the root directory containing the Gradle wrapper, specify the project directory parameter. The Gradle action successfully outputs the path to the signed.aab file. This signed artifact is mandatory for all modern Google Play submissions. Always confirm that the build process successfully applies the release signing configuration before proceeding to deployment. Execute the supply action to upload the generated .aab file directly to the Google Play console. Specify the target track using parameters such as internal, alpha, beta, or production, depending on the desired distribution audience. Pass the path to the .aab file using the dedicated AAB parameter. Define localized release notes for specific languages using the release notes parameter, structured by locale, for example, en-us. For secure, non-interactive authentication, avoid storing passwords directly. Instead, configure an App Store Connect API key within the Apple Developer Portal. Set the key identifier, issuer identifier, and the key file path as environment variables. This method is strongly preferred over relying on the Fastlane user and Fastlane password environment variables, providing a robust security layer for continuous integration environments. For Android, first generate the necessary signing key store using the key tool utility, specifying the key alias and the required validity period. Store this key store file securely outside of your source control repository. Configure secure access to the key store credentials, including the store password, key password, and key alias by setting them as environment variables within the build environment. Initialize the Google Play deployment configuration by executing Fastlane supply init. Authentication with Google Play requires a service account JSON key file. This key must be generated in the Google Cloud Console and requires granting the Edit Releases permission within the Google Play Console API access settings. The absolute path to this JSON key file must be provided to Fastlane, typically set via the JSON key file parameter or a corresponding environment variable, enabling supply to interact with the Play Store API. Utilize the Fastlane Gradle action to execute specific Gradle tasks required for artifact generation. We execute the :app::bundle release task to generate the mandatory Android app bundle, or AAB file. Crucially, ensure the project's build.gradle file is correctly referencing the secure key store environment variables for signing the release artifact. If the FAS file is not located in the root directory containing the Gradle wrapper, specify the project directory parameter. The Gradle action successfully outputs the path to the signed.aab file. This signed artifact is mandatory for all modern Google Play submissions. Always confirm that the build process successfully applies the release signing configuration before proceeding to deployment.